And, speaking of manipulation, the financial aspect of this is so incredibly important because it's more than anything, that's going to be the reason that they have the ability to do what they're doing, right? They're robbing us blind right now to force in a new economic paradigm. And it's one that it's built on the idea of authoritarian rule. This is a martial law tactic. And the economics around this are they're basically just, picture Americans as a little child, somebody's holding by the ankle and dumping all the coins out of your pocket, right? That's what this is, right? We are that child, right? They are holding up by our ankle and all the coins are falling out of our pocket. That's what's happening right now. Again. Because virus, right? Mnuchin says energy firms can be bailed out by the Fed, right? Because why not? It doesn't matter if those energy firms might have already had problems or might not need the money, but we're going to bail them out. All the energy firms that are all monopolies in anywhere that you are. All those same energy firms that are, turning out people's lights during crises, right? Those same people that we showed you that we've already talked about many times. I mean, we played the main one that I played that I might as well just play again for you to see is really upsetting. And this is the same kind of companies that they're allowing to continue and that Mnuchin's going to bail out.
Can we do better? There's always things that pop up that we can do better on, and I call the question.
I'm sorry, that's not how this works. We each have an opportunity to speak 5 minutes.
I thought we did.
Yeah, the question's been called.
I'm sorry. That's not how calling the question works. You need a second, and you need to vote on it.
Then I have a second for calling the question.
So are you telling me that you're going to keep me from talking right now?
You've talked all evening.
Look here. You're calling me disrespectful because I've interrupted people, but this gentleman has turned off people's lights in the middle of a global health pandemic. That's what that gentleman did.
Point of order.
And you think I'm disrespectful for interrupting?
Point of order.
This gentleman has had the ability to do any number of things. We could have banned large gatherings. We could have closed the beach. We could have put a moratorium on utility shutoffs.
I recessed.
Also not within your power, and the attorney has held that that's true.
I recessed the meeting.
You came up with new rules at the beginning of the meeting, and then you didn't even want to follow the rules that you came up with.
And you took advantage.
This is a banana republic is what you're turning this place into with your so-called leadership.
Does a recess mean that we will be...
Yes.
Camera on that?
I don't care anything about this.
On that?
I don't care anything about this. We should have been talking about this last week.
Can we...
We cut off people's utilities this week and made them pay what could have been their last check to us to turn their lights on in a global health pandemic. But you don't care about that and you didn't want to meet. But every other year you go around and beg people for their votes.
Hey.
Can we explain
But you care more about your relationship with that guy than you care about the relationship with the people who don't go to work in this building.
Order! You were done. You're done. You're done. Disrespectful.
Disrespectful is what you've done to the working people in this city.
I didn't do anything.
That is exactly the point, right? Real leaders take responsibility for failure and successes alike, right? They failed to act in many different ways. And the person, I mean, you see that person standing there at the podium, that guy that works for the electric company that just happily turned off people's lights in the middle of a problem, right? He doesn't care. He didn't even speak up for his own defense, right? Because he knows that he's got that lady in his pocket. Doesn't matter. They're allowing that to happen in many different ways than just what we're looking at in Florida, right? But sure, let's bail out those companies, Let's use your hard-earned tax dollars, billions and billions of dollars to make sure that these people get what they need. And then we'll get you your $1,000 check by September probably, because that's how that works. New York hospitals face $400 million in cuts, even as virus battle rages, right? So they're cutting money to these places. And this is happening all over the place. All right, here's one. The major medical staffing company just slashed benefits for doctors and nurses fighting coronavirus. Right? Why is this happening? Because everybody's struggling. The problem is, if all the money that's being spent on the wars that we're going to get into next, all the illegal adventurism that's still happening right now, that $1 trillion that's spent around the world for illegal actions, that's the money that should be pulled immediately to use right now to help people and help these doctors and pay for people's. That's your money that's being used around the world. But right now, no, they're going to force in what's happening in Venezuela. We're going to continue to bomb Syria. We're going to continue to bomb Yemen because war, right? Because that's what they care about. But if they really cared about you, they would use that $1 trillion in war funding to make sure these people at the medical staffing, had what they needed. To make sure that the New York hospitals had what they needed. To make sure that you had what you needed. But no, that's not going to happen because we don't care about you first. We care about war first. across the board. From The Intercept, the coronavirus hasn't stopped Jared Kushner's real estate empire from hounding tenants with debt collection, eviction lawsuits. Guys, this is right now. This is from today. Jared Kushner's own company is literally trying to evict people during this blackout. I promised you this was going to happen. I said this was going to happen right when this started, because these people don't actually care about the small guy. Never. I mean, how many times have we heard this? That we're going to take care of you. That we're going to. If this is happening within his own administration, within his own family, are we really going to pretend? I mean, really, and contrast this story with what they're saying about the 3M company, right? So they're calling this company almost treasonous for daring to sell things to another country for more money. Which again, I argue that they should just sell it to this country for the right normal profit, because they're helping people while making profit, as opposed to getting more money when they could just get, anyway, you get the point. The reality is, contrast it with this, right? Who's more immoral here? A company that's trying to maximize profit in a point when they could do what's right, or Trump's family member who is literally evicting people and debt collecting while people can't even pay their bills? Right. Because we know who the real moral people are here. Everywhere. It's disgusting. McConnell acknowledges fourth coronavirus bill in the works. Fourth bill, right? Because 6.2 trillion is not enough. 2.2 trillion from the first bill, 4 trillion from the Fed, right? And more bills coming out left with 4 bills. Money, 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 money. Why? Because this is a huge thing that's happening right now. This is a massive shift of power, a massive shift of wealth. And I really start to think that this is the plan. And I've always said that this was being used and always happening. This was start from the moment that they saw a crisis. This was we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to force in this bill, use this agenda, because everyone's paying attention over there, we're going to do this over here. That's how they are. That's how they operate. That's how they work. But now, I'm finding it really difficult to not see this as the plan, as how it started. Possibly even releasing something in order to make it the case. But at the end of the day, they are using it, which is pretty much just as nefarious. But more money coming from your pocket to go to companies at the top, right? Because you think this fourth bill is now all going to go to the people? No, right? Not. Just like the first one, just like everything else hasn't. They placate you with a small amount of money that doesn't even cover most people's 1 month of rent, and they're going to pump in the rest of the money to everything else that they want to use. They're going to use their Martial Law Defense Act to basically create the kind of infrastructure that they want, right? Now, some people may think that's fantastic, but guess what? It's not going to be fantastic for the people that lose. For the people that lose their entire business because it doesn't fit the model. For the people that don't get what they want or what they've paid for because it doesn't fit the model. Because people that don't suddenly are no longer useful to the regime no longer get what they want. That's what we're staring at. That's why you have companies right now being forced to make what the government is telling them they have to. Now, even if you believe that they should be doing that, don't you think that the government itself couldn't just pay to do it themselves? Or, buy them from other countries like they've always been able to from the very beginning, because China has always been willing to sell them, as Russia has always been willing to sell them? No, right? It's all about creating the illusion for more bills needed. That's what it is. We need more action. We need more bills. We need more stimulus packages. Meanwhile, everyone's still locked up in their homes, scared out of their wits. Have to see what's happening, guys. Realize that the first bill, and when with the Fed's addition, we're talking 6.2 trillion, fails most small businesses. Now, I never got a chance to actually go through the ins and outs of the bill itself, but I did go over it myself. It takes so long to do that on a show. But the reality is, guys, you can read it yourself. You can read it all yourself. And it actually turns out that there's some debate about this, but I read it myself, and I find it really hard to not see that it seems like even the $1,000 check plus is ultimately going to be taken out of your taxes in the future. Right? That if you end up getting a refund later, they're going to take it back out of that. Now, maybe I'm misunderstanding that, or maybe there's more that I'm not seeing. But at the end of the day, this is less than peanuts. This is the scraps from peanuts that they're giving to the people while they take everything.